Urban legends and ghost stories to tell around a campfire are fun, but they're not based in reality, right? Wrong again, stupid. They kinda are. Sorry for calling you stupid.
I was like, them's fighting words.
No. But I want to talk about 3 specific well-known urban legends and how they actually came to be, because it doesn't come out of nowhere. And these came around before the age of creepypasta, when people were just like, yes, and then Slender Man was on the playground, and then he did this, and then he did that. These actually came from people who weren't out for the lulz on the internet. And the one I wanted to start with is the licked hand. So you know the story of sometimes it's a lone woman, sometimes it's a family, but someone hears something downstairs and it's scary. It's at night, by the way. So they reach down under their bed and their dog licks their hand and they feel reassured, safe. Dog's here to protect me, my trusty friend, everything's fine. In the morning though, they wake up. They discover their dog has been beheaded and the head is hanging up on the wall. Sometimes there's a note that says humans can lick too. That's really gross. Also, that can be taken out of context. So there does seem to be some backing for this. Snope was able to find a similar motif that dated back to an Englishman's diary in 1871. The diary keeper named Dearman Burchell retold a story that he heard at a party. So again, this is a friend of a friend.
Of a friend.
Right?
Yeah.
About a man whose wife woke him up in the middle of the night, urging him to go investigate what sounded like burglars in their home. He told his wife that it was only the dog reaching out his hand. He felt the dog lick his hand, but in the morning, all the valuables were gone. He was robbed. It's not as sinister as beheading a dog, but it does seem to be the root of where this one came from. There's also a short story called The Diary of Mr. Pointner, which was published in 1919 by M.R. James. In it, a character dozes off in an armchair and thinks he is petting his dog. It turns out he was petting a very hairy human.
We've all been there.
No.
No? No.
Just you.
I didn't say it was me.
There's another one that, this is one I heard when I was a little kid and I was like, no way. It might have even been in one of those scary story anthologies.
Like stories to read around the campfire. Yeah.
The one with a really scary cover.
What's the really scary cover?
She knows. Anyway, we'll put it up in post. You'll know what it is. It's called The Girl with the Ribbon Around Her Neck.
Yes.
So you've probably heard some variation of this.
Say it in a scary voice, like
a woman. Ooh, women. I can't.
Wait, what?
I'm joking.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do it.
There was once a man who found a very lovely girl at a party, and she had a very alluring ribbon wrapped around her neck. He engaged the woman in conversation and they hit it off. They went out for a few dates, and she would always wear this ribbon. And then he started to ask, girl, why you always wear that ribbon?
Yes.
And she goes, don't ask me about my ribbon, okay, rude.
It's fine.
It's fine, don't worry about it. And then one night, when they were alone, she had fallen asleep. He took a pair of scissors and he cut the ribbon. And then what happened next, Kim?
And then her head fell off and she's like, I told you. He was dating some kind of animated corpse or something. Sometimes this involves being around the time of the French Revolution, where guillotines were in vogue.
It was everyone was having a party and everyone was losing their heads.
Yeah, but it looks like this came from an even more gruesome story from Washington Irving in 1824.
The same guy that wrote the Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, really?
Yes,
this
with
makes
Ichabod
sense.
Crane.
He is into that motif then.
He's kind of into the no heads.
We should read into him some more.
Anyway, was he secretly confessing to
this
maybe
is
some
my thing.
unsolved crimes?
I love it.
You're like, how did no one catch me?
But this story was called The Adventures of a German Student, where a young man becomes enamored with a Parisian woman who he meets while she looks mournfully on at a guillotine. After consummating their mutual attraction,
that means
AKA boning.
They did it. They did it.
She's found dead in his bed the next morning. A policeman undoes a ribbon tied around her neck, prompting her head to just slide right off. The protagonist sees this and goes insane, and he's committed to an asylum. And then it is believed that Irving heard the story from his friend Thomas More, who had heard it from another writer named Horace Smith. So perhaps this was a short story trope before it was a campfire trope. This idea is so much worse because it clearly says he had sex with a dead woman.
Yeah.
And didn't know, and it was awful.
Didn't know.
At least he didn't know. No.
No. Yes.
Bad.
If we're looking for silver linings,
it's still
then
pretty
yes.
bad, though.
Yes, that
I've
is a
also
silver
heard
lining.
of that in folklore about like a revenant woman coming back to life and a man having sex with her, and when he wakes up, there's just a corpse, like a rotted corpse. So I think this has been around for a while. The idea of accidentally having sex with a dead person.
No.
Yeah, it's folklore.
Cool.
The last one is the one about the babysitter who was alone. So
Babysitter Club.
You've definitely heard this one, where a teenage girl or a young woman is babysitting at some house watching the kids, and she tucks the kids in, and then someone calls, and there's a sinister voice on the line that says, "Check the children."
Do you like scary movies?
No, not that one.
Oh, that's a different movie.
There's no kids.
Okay.
So she finally becomes overwhelmed by this, and she calls the police, and the police call back, and they say, "The calls are coming from inside the house."
What? Because this is back when they had landlines, and there could be 2 landlines in the same house. What a scary time in general.
It wasn't that long ago.
It really wasn't.
Like what, 20 years? 30?
You can still have landlines.
I guess you can still do this, but it wasn't as popular as
Not
before.
do this as in like stalk people.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that.
I don't recommend that.
Do not do that.
This is notably the opening scene of When a Stranger Calls. That was 1979. There was a remake. We're ignoring the remake. So this kind of coincides with a rash of reports of babysitters who were assaulted, attacked, murdered even in the 50s and 60s.
That actually happened.
That really happened.
This actually happened.
Like news stories that actually happened. This seems to be an overly dramatized version of it, where she's being toyed with inside the home.
It has the wherewithal to actually identify.
She has suspense and time to react and think. Sometimes she is killed at the end of the story, sometimes she's not. But in the real versions, some babysitters were attacked and sometimes murdered as they babysat children for someone else. So some folklore theorists have also observed that the man in the house or the man upstairs spoke to cultural rebellion over women taking more dominant positions instead of being domestic caretakers. So this may also be anti-feminist propaganda. I liked it better when The Handmaid's Tale did it. I'm just saying. So in conclusion, I hate that one the most of the 3.
Yeah, I was reading, I was like, oh, I'm familiar with this. It was like, yeah, it was originally to spread, that put women down and say, you can't have positions of responsibility. And I went, hey now.
No.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Also, it's harder to do these days, what with cell phones.
Yeah. You just use Facebook Live the entire incident.
Yeah.
Hey, if I die, you'll find some clues.
This is gonna go very viral.
Yeah.
So there's actually a lot of folklore that has, or urban myths, which are modern folklore, which have their roots in the past. And but these were my 3 favorite. Audience, what is your favorite urban legend? Please let us know below, and please like and subscribe for more.